All right, here we are. We are live. It is another Thursday and another Chiropractic is sexy.
Super sexy.
Oh,
Super happy
yeah.
to be here.
What's that?
Happy to be here. Oh, there's a lot of people. Wait, is this from
Yeah.
last time or?
No, this is today. Yeah.
Hi.
So, yeah, we've got Gil from Campatton Family Compound, Stephanie, Idaho Garden Girl. We have Paula, P Squared in the house, and Kenny. Who else do we have in here? Of course, me and Dr. Erica. We are waiting for our guest, Jim Chester, but that doesn't stop us from getting.
No, doesn't stop us from riffing. So we are minus one thing. My cough is finally out the door. So thank goodness for that. Thanks for putting up with my hacking over the last couple of weeks, you guys. It's been quite an adventure.
Yeah. And you know what? We're just glad you're here.
Yeah.
And we were just saying too that, it's just the power of time and the power of respecting your body. And that's why we're here, just to help you guys, determine that things take time. Healing takes time. Chiropractic can help expand that for you, which I did. I was able to go to Dr. Erica's last Friday and get an amazing adjustment. So I'm super grateful for that. We do have Jim Chester in the house. So I want to give you guys a little bit of an intro with Jim. I met Jim several years ago, and he is not a chiropractor. However, he is one of the champions of chiropractic for chiropractors. And he has been an incredible voice for us to get the message of chiropractic out. He actually has a show, and I'll let him talk about that, where he interviews some of the greats in the industry and just talks to so many different chiropractors, again, and it's a very similar platform to help expand the message. So with that being said, we're going to bring James Chester onto the stage. Hi, Jim. Can you see us? Can you hear us?
I can.
Awesome. It's so good to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. Colorado's
doing good. I want you to meet Dr. Erica Peabody. She's also a fellow Michigander here.
Yeah, we go way back. We just never have had an IRL experience.
Right.
I know.
In real life.
So, you and Jim?
Yeah. We've never been in real life meetings. So nice to meet you. You look like you're doing something like an undercover operation over there.
Oh no, no undercover. But I do agree with the in real life stuff. Like virtual only does so much, right?
I know. But hey, if this is the only way we can get our message out, then sign me up for now, right?
Yeah.
So Eric and I started this a couple of months ago, sometime over the summer, and we wanted to just be able to jump on and just kind of riff about chiropractic on a weekly basis and talk about just different things that are important to us and how we want to impact people with chiropractic, improve their lives. And we wanted to start having people on like you. One of the reasons that I love having you on is that you're not a chiropractor. And I don't know if you could hear me backstage, but I was telling the audience that, you're probably one of the biggest champions, non-chiropractic champions and voices for us in the industry. And so I'm super grateful that you came to join us to help us deliver this message.
Yeah, it's been an important part of my journey is supporting chiropractic. I think there's a lot of people out there that if they knew more about what chiropractic could do for them, the world would be a different place.
So I was reading your bio, and I know, I know you've dedicated your career to this. What did you have a chiropractic experience? So many chiropractors have the experience with a chiropractor that then launches them into the chiropractic, as a career. I never particularly had a chiropractic experience, but just wondering what ultimately led you to make that recognition.
A lot of people don't know this, but I grew up in Davenport, Iowa. So I was I was born onto the streets of chiropractic.
Yeah.
So tell people why that's special.
Chiropractic started in Davenport, Iowa, September 18th, 1895. It's 127 years of chiropractic being the first chiropractic adjustment, and the Palmer School of Chiropractic is what they used to call it. And there's
Also my birthday, by the way, September 18th. I did a whole thing on my birthday with the birth of chiropractic. So yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I hurt my shoulder playing high school football in Davenport, Iowa. And my athletic trainer said, hey, you should go check out Palmer and get some x-rays on your shoulder. And I went over to Palmer, got some x-rays on my shoulder. And the staff doc asked my mom, because I was 16, and the staff doc asked my mom if they could do some x-rays of my neck, also my back, my spine, to see if I had any subluxation. So back then, Palmer was like doing that. And they said, hey, you can get some x-rays of your spine. My mom said, sure, why not? So at 16 years old, I started getting adjusted. And I just knew that when I got adjusted, any sport or athletic like intensity I was a part of, baseball, football, wrestling, soccer, whatever I was involved with, I just felt better. And I knew that chiropractic helped my body optimize and feel better and perform better. So even at 16, I was just like, this is great stuff.
So what made you decide that you to not actually become a chiropractor? Because those are the super common stories that then people are like, I'm going to be a chiropractor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm very much in the brain of artistic. I'm not in the brain of science and anatomy and caring for patients. Like I never was like, gosh, I can't wait to become a doctor. Never once.
Mm-hmm.
And the real miracle happened was as I got through my 20s, all of my buddies that I met in Davenport were all Palmer students. So over time, I would learn to talk to them and about why they were becoming doctors and all these things. And eventually my buddies inspired me to work in a clinic. And that's how this whole thing started 15 years ago. I was like, well, all right, this sounds like a good option to get out of Iowa. So I moved from Davenport to Arlington Heights, Illinois, and I worked in a clinic. And we started doing patient testimonials and technique videos and recruiting videos for Palmer Rugby. And I just started realizing there was this amazing profession. And growing up in Iowa, I was like, wow, there's all these healthy people hanging out over at that college over there that I don't know what they're doing, but they all look like they have their act together. So
bunch of weirdos.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think one of the greatest things in our profession is to have that, I want to call it third-party validation, where you're not selling for yourself and you're just sharing how amazing things go under regular care. So it's so true.
So how did that start to roll out? So you were basically like a PR person then in the office?
No, actually they trained me on how to work in a chiropractic biophysics traction floor. So I was started out doing 250 traction setups a week, working in a chiropractic biophysics clinic, doing spinal postural rehab with patients, pre and post x-rays, the most scientifically researched form of chiropractic on planet Earth, idealspine.com. It's Don and Deed Harrison's work. And I just fell in love with getting people better and working with a doctor. And I did that for 6 years, working in chiropractic biophysics rehab department. And I worked with patients, and I really appreciated it because I saw the miracles of chiropractic and how people got their lives back, and that was really the start of it. Was then they basically made me go out and get new patients. And I hated it, just like anybody else. If you tell somebody they have to go do something, they're usually pretty resentful. And they're like, why do I have to go work my weekend? You go do it. So anyways, I finally course corrected myself and started to really appreciate that I had some skills to go do that no one else could do. And after 700 of those events now, I can go out and schedule 50 new patients a weekend for any office. And I can talk the chiropractic story better than anybody else because I've interviewed about 1,200 of them or 1,300 of them in the past 6.5 years. So I don't know. I started to build one thing onto the other. And now we have this this part of chiropractic where I get to speak to groups of chiropractors and be on podcasts like this.
I love it. You had said that you were working in that office and you got to see miracles happen on a regular basis. And I keep saying, for the people who say, I don't believe in chiropractic, I challenge any of them to sit in a chiropractic office for 2 hours a day or whatever and watch miracles happen. And I said, I swear I'm going to put this on a t-shirt someday. I don't care what you believe. I'm changing effing lives. And, because that's ultimately what we do. It's easy. Even if I started off like neck and back pain, probably like most chiropractors, but then as you start to move through your career and people start to tell you how things shift and change and how they're feeling better and they haven't gotten sick, or maybe they got pregnant, or their digestive issues are better, or their sinuses cleared up, and you start to hear all of these different things, and you go, that was a learning process in practice for me that ultimately then was like, holy moly, this is some powerful, powerful stuff. So, what's been the most powerful thing that you've seen over your 15 years of doing this?
That's a good question. It draws me back to this belief system thing you're talking about. It's kind of funny, and I mention this a lot to people, and they're like, well, I don't believe in chiropractic. And I say, well, it's not a belief system. Mm-hmm. I tell them, Easter Bunny and Santa Claus is a belief system.
So true.
I tell them that chiropractic is a healing art.
Yeah.
And that it's not that easy for them to understand until they actually experience it. And I guess over 15 years, I've scheduled over 7,000 new patients. Like meeting them, that's the miracle. Like going out and meeting people in the public and telling them, if you could imagine if you schedule 7,000 new patients, how many no's I got, or how many chiropractors or quacks I got, or how many people talk shit to me, or how many people told me that they got hurt, or the doctor told them that they couldn't do it, or whatever they decide is their little 1-2 punch on me while they walk by me. Like that's the biggest thing is I feel like every chiropractor out there has steel confidence that makes it in this profession. That's the miracle, because there's so many people out there telling them that what they're doing is quackery, or they're not doctors, or their degree isn't for anything, or they're not, whatever it might be, the narrative that gets tossed around and like actually like spoken out to chiropractors or the people supporting the profession. Like that's the miracle, is chiropractors are resilient. They're influential. They're educators. They're freedom fighters. They're purpose driven. They're moms. They're dads. They're community leaders. Like that's the miracle, is that even in the face of all that crap, like chiropractors still prevail.
That's incredible to hear. And I think, one of the things is that as we're busy in practice, we forget to get out and share that part of it and us and the miracles that we see, which is really the reason behind this whole conversation in general for Dr. Paula and I, is like, we got to start sharing in a way that, people start to see and feel and hear who we are and really more about the story. So thanks for the reminder that that we're doing some big, it's going to choke me up, but we're doing some big stuff up here.
Well, honestly, I'm really proud of you gals for doing a show like this. My whole plan with Chiro Hustle is to create more chiropractic content than anybody else could do on planet Earth. And we've accomplished that.
–
Like we've lapped the world twice with chiropractic content. And I always am inspired when I see other people saying, hey, we need to do that too. Like I congratulate you guys and shout from the rooftops, like how proud I am of what you guys are doing, because we do need to get more PR out there. There is more necessity for people to hear these stories, and maybe we create the next, group of chiropractic advocates out there that don't want to be doctors.
Right. I think that the really awesome thing too for both of us, when we meet at Thursday at 1:00, we are just coming off of our adjusting floor. Like we're in the trenches for the mornings. And then we just like, hey, like, let's connect. Let's kind of riff about the common theme this week or whatever it is, health, wealth, and not health, healing, life, and living, and just continue to take that and spread it bigger than what we can do in our four walls. So.
And I think too, going back to what you were saying, Jim, about, people just throwing shade at you and, yeah, we get it. We get it all the time. And that I think each time, I think one of two things can happen is that each time we get that, it throws up a little bit more armor. And so we have to be thick skinned. We have to just dig our heels in a little bit deeper. But I also think, and I know the thought has happened for me. I'm sure it's happened to other chiropractors, maybe to a point that they've gotten out of chiropractic care. I know people who've left chiropractic because of it. But, sometimes, and this many years ago, but I thought to myself when I was early on in practice, man, I should just go back and go to medical school because it'd be so much easier to be a part of the mainstream. Until then, I actually realized that, no, we need more voices. We need more voices screaming and shouting. And, because that is not a path that's working for people. And I think it's just a really big testament to, it's okay to think that for a minute until then you realize the purpose and the power of what we actually have. And I think, again, that was the inspiration for Dr. Eric and I sitting and having these weekly conversations was, let's talk to people about this power and just have a conversation with them about it,
Yeah, I mean, I've helped a lot of people start podcasts, and I always tell them to think about their first 100 episodes, not their first 10.
Right.
And how long will you be if you've done 100 episodes? Well, it's about 2 years of content. And I try to inspire people to stick with projects and to do them for a bigger lasting purpose, just like chiropractic care. There's a big quest around why do people start care and stop care? There's a big why. Why do people start seeing a chiropractor? And it's like your best friend when they go through their day 1, day 2, and then by visit number 7, they're not there anymore. So if we can start to get people to understand that chiropractic is for a lifetime, it's not for a symptom or condition. It's like drinking water. Why would you stop drinking water? That's a bad idea.
I was at the gym yesterday, and this guy that I know at the gym, he came up to me and he said he was talking about his aches and pains, and I said, well, have you gotten adjusted? And I know his chiropractor, and he's like, I'm not going back to him. And there's a little bit of a backstory there that I won't share here, but and I said, well, you can't complain about what you have going on and then say you're not going to get adjusted. And he goes, he's never told me what I need to be doing so that I don't ever have to come back. And I looked at my trainer and I said, Jenna, he has a point. And I said, I've been coming to you for 2 years now. At what point do I never have to come back to the gym? You've not taught me anything on why I don't have to come to why is my body not at a point where I don't have to come to the gym anymore? Yeah. And we just started laughing because she knows and he was looking at us like, what? Right. I'm like, dude, for real. And I said, life is stress. Life is life. And I said, and he's a firefighter. He's like the fire chief for one of our local fire halls. And I said, your level of stress. So people are like, oh, I only have to go once in a while or whenever I need it. And I said, your chiropractic care and your stress should either be on the same plane or your chiropractic care slightly above that, because life will continue to tear you down. And that is the message that I really want people to understand is that physical, chemical, emotional stressors must meet or your chiropractic care must meet or exceed the physical, chemical, and emotional stressors in your life. And anybody who says to me, I have no stress in my life, you're lying. We all do. It's just life, it's part of life. And while I appreciate that people can say that, because then that tells me that you probably have a pretty good outlook, you have some optimism, but you don't live in a bubble. We don't live in a vacuum when it comes to stress. So, what's been your biggest message as far as like helping people understand that piece of it and not neck and back pain, and that just because you feel great after 7 visits, what does that mean for you now? How do you educate people beyond that?
I see a lot of comments coming up on your guys' chat.
I know, it's so funny.
Well, I think that there's different approaches to this, and it's really easy for people to have opinions, or to have big questions. My response to anybody like, why is it so difficult for doctors to understand the value of chiropractic, is, why don't you tell me? Like, you tell me why it's so difficult for that. It's not my burden of proof to show somebody like why that's a problem. Like that's your problem. That's for you to figure out. And I think that that's a really honest, like, forward approach to so many things. Like, why is it a chiropractor's position to tell you how to never come back? Like, that's a stupid idea. Like, that's
well, I just got my teeth cleaned this morning, and they're like, when's your next appointment? And I'm like, well, of course I'm going to make my next appointment. It's the same. It's the same, because we constantly have things. And so I think that question about why is it so difficult for doctors to understand, it's like, it's difficult from the inside to figure out why that is. And so instead of that, we kind of look to our way of just, why don't we just keep sharing and have these conversations so that people aren't taking blind faith of what their MD or their DO says anyway, and just really being a health advocate for themselves. And then here, let's give you a little bit of information about what we're doing, the miracles we see for, 20 years for me, 25 years for Dr. Paula, and like 45 years of experience. Like, we're out here not only having fun in practice, but we're helping save lives every day. And it's incredible. And so we kind of just, stick on that high side and kind of stay in our own lane. How about that?
And once again, the only way for people to understand chiropractic is for them to experience it. And a big takeaway for me is how I've been able to serve so many people and help so many people get into chiropractic offices is most people just don't know where to go, who to trust for their health.
Right.
They get stuck in a dog crap system that pumps them full of drugs, that makes them feel crappy. And they call that medical care. And I think that we're brainwashed as a society to think that a doctor isn't supposed to put their hands on you and take care of you and give recommendations for what to eat, how to exercise, nutrition, how to take care of your kids, how to take care of your spouse, how to take care of your community. Like, we've been brainwashed to think that you go to somebody with a white jacket and you walk out with a prescription, you go to CVS or Walgreens, and that's healthcare. And it couldn't be further from the truth. That's like palliative, like, you're going to be sicker because of the stuff we gave you. Now you're going to have to go get something else because of the things we gave you, or because of the shots you took, or because of the lifestyle choices you picked, because you weren't educated enough to make good decisions.
Well, I told the story the other day. I have a friend of mine who back in 2019, early 2020, he died. He had mouth cancer, and he was a smoker. He'd been a drinker for many years, but he wasn't drinking for many years, but then he was a smoker. And when he was dying, I was at his house on his deathbed, and he said, "Don't be upset. I did this to myself." But, my thought is, I don't want people to get to that point. You shouldn't have to get to that point where suddenly you're like, yeah, I did this to myself. And and we could tell these stories all day long. I mean, my brother's having some health issues, and I brought up, I said, and I've been helping him over the years. We're still coming up with some blocks, and I said, I think we need to do some heavy metal testing and some chemical testing, just some specialty testing, see if he's got some toxicity somewhere along the way. And he said, wouldn't that show up on my lab work? And I said, no. And he said, why wouldn't my doctor test for it? And I said, because they don't know. It's not in their wheelhouse. They just have no idea. And so we could sit here all day and say that medical doctors are misguided, but they actually have to have the knowledge in order to be misguided. They just don't know. Mm-hmm. And so unless you're your own advocate, like you said earlier, it's up to you to then see beyond that.
Can I make 2 points?
Yes.
The education system's broken. The people that are running the big medical schools are controlled by a pharmacological approach. And now they're infiltrating chiropractic schools. Mm-hmm. So the education system is really the problem that needs correction, because right now there's a lot of functional medicine offices out there, like you're mentioning, that are actually doing toxicology on people and finding out what's going on with people's blood panels and actually doing concierge blueprint style care for people. Mm-hmm. And we're finding out that people are sick from their labs, from their spit, from their poop, like their saliva. Like we're finding out, like we're basically private investigators now for people's health. Mm-hmm. And we're going in and checking their junk drawers, we're checking their trash, we're finding out whether they're throwing stuff away, what they're eating, how they're actually behaving, like the smoker. Like we're finding their behavioral responses within their blood work. And we have to be private investigators of their health, like what they're doing and who they are today, not who they were 5 years ago or who they will be in 5 years from now. We have to follow who are they today. It doesn't matter if you take in Flintstone vitamins when you were a kid and Centrums when you were a teenager, and now you're on Juice Plus. It doesn't matter. Like, what does your blood say? Mm-hmm. Are you active? What are you eating? Because, crap in, crap out. Like there's just so much that it's not what you eat, it's what you eats. Like, yes. Are you sweating daily?
Right.
And I just wanted to share a quote with you guys, or you gals. It's a 1903 quote. It's from Thomas Edison. And he was concerned about the healthcare of his time. And he stated this: "The doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patient in the care of the human frame and diet and in the cause and prevention of disease." Now we're in 2023, okay? This is 120 years later. And this still stands up. Mm-hmm. To the doctor of the future. And I've seen people where they've changed this quote and called it the doctor of the present. Like, the doctor of the present is the chiropractor. And this is Edison's foresight in 1903 talking about chiropractic when he probably didn't even know chiropractic was a thing. But I also go back in time and I wonder if Thomas Edison might have hung out with BJ Palmer. And if
it does make you wonder, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And if BJ Palmer might have been like an impetus for him to not give up on the light bulb.
It's the time frame, it's similar. It's the time frame. There's a lot going on there. Turn on the light, right?
Yeah, but it just reminds me, and now what we're seeing, if we extract this, all of what I just said, now we see people in big box medical arenas at state colleges, and the big hospitals in every city across the United States. Those people are saying, this system sucks. Mm-hmm. I want to go work in a functional medicine office with a chiropractor as a nurse practitioner or as an MD adjunct. And I want to actually help people. Mm-hmm. Because the system that I graduate into, that I'm controlled to, that I'm blackballed into, that if I choose to do something differently, these people are going to chew me up, spit me out, and my ability to get a job is null and void. So I'm going to go work with chiropractors now. So we're seeing a huge trend of people being ejected from the big medical arena, saying, I'm done. You guys suck. You guys are killing people. The whole scamdemic you guys had put onto us and got everybody sick. We're out. Mm-hmm. We're going to go work with chiropractors now.
Well, I think that's why so many so many of those people from the medical system, whether it's, medical doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, are going cash because they want completely out of the medical field. More chiropractors are going cash because they want completely out from underneath the fist of insurance companies. We've had that conversation. I, for one, am working my way out of the insurance industry because the mindset of people that, when they say, oh, I can't come in because my insurance won't pay, or I only get 12 visits, so can I come once a month? Or I have a high deductible, so what does that mean? And they won't come in if they have to pay out of pocket, but then they're going to Starbucks and spending $12 on a giant, drink that's probably 1,200 calories. It's not going to serve them in any way, shape, or form. So it's really trying to get the message across for people to have perspective on what they're doing on a daily basis. And I talk about food and food choices a lot. And I go into the grocery stores. I do a lot of videos on, why would you choose this? And, what's in these eggs really? And why should you actually buy a real egg and not a carton of eggs that has stabilizers and garbage in it? Because to me, that's just processed junk food as well.
Yeah. Can I share just a little bit of chiropractic sales for people?
You may.
I think it's so important. When I convert somebody to showing up to a chiropractic center, I tell them a couple things. We're going to do a full exam, consultation, health history, x-rays if needed, and then we're going to put together a report for you. It's called the report of findings. We're going to tell you what we found on the exam and x-rays. We're going to tell you how much concern there's. We're going to tell you how we can help you. At that point, you get your first chiropractic adjustment. If you like us, you stick with us. If you come in for those first 2 visits, you realize this isn't the right place for you, there's no strings attached for further care. But I guarantee you one thing, you're going to like us. And everybody smiles, and 70% of them show up to their first visit. And the national average for that type of a sales cycle is 20%. So people are excited to come in to see the chiropractor because they've tried everything else. And I ask them, how long have you been having headaches? How long have you had IBS? Are you doing anything for it? Is that helpful? Have you ever considered chiropractic? Awesome. Well, I know we can help you. So I think it all determines on how you process somebody and how you culturally connect with them. And really, everybody's looking for somebody to help them. They just don't know it's chiropractic.
Mm-hmm. That's so true.
And that's gold. If you guys are chiropractors and you're watching this and you want to go out and convert people to come in as a chiropractic patient, that's the script. That's how I've scheduled 7,000 people. Is I talk to people and I ask them, what's going on? Did you injure yourself? Are you doing anything for that? Have you ever considered a chiropractor? And then they give me the opportunity of converting them for their first visit. Because I'll say, great, you're an ideal candidate for what we do. I know we can help you. And I think that that's the secret when it comes to a chiropractor wanting to, like you said earlier, shout from the rooftops or, be loud and proud. I think that that's really important for a certain segment of chiropractic, but I really think that people in general just want to be exam, consultation, a proper health history, and find out what's going on with some x-rays. 90% of the people out there, if you told them that they could come in and do that at a chiropractic clinic, they'd be all over it.
Well, and I think people want to be heard. They want to feel valued. And oftentimes, again, we try not to get into a bashing medicine as much as we want to be just pro chiropractic, but it's the contrast of when you go into the medical doctor, if they have 2 minutes to spend with you, they're not listening to what you're saying. They come in with their own agenda based on a history that an assistant came in and took down. So they've read that. They come in, they don't want to dialogue with you. They just want to read the notes and then deliver what they think, because they really only have, I think the average is 2 minutes to spend with you. And I have a young patient, 25 years old, who he's been seeing me for a couple of months now, and he wasn't getting better. And I said, I know something deeper is going on. So I sent him for an MRI. His primary care physician would not, because he was so young. He didn't think that anything else was wrong. Turns out he's got a fatty tumor in his spinal cord. And that when you look it up, it says that it's caused from exogenous steroids. Well, he's been on oral steroids for asthma since he was a kid. And the interesting thing about that was the doctor that he saw said, "Oh no, you're fine. No, I didn't see any fatty tumor, but it's there." And then said the best way to do this is with oral steroids and steroid injections, when that's the very thing that caused it. So there's this, if I weren't there advocating for him and telling him how to advocate for himself in that, because I did want him to go get it. I'm like, go get this checked. Like, I've never seen this before in 25 years. Go get it checked. But it's information gathering. And I think the lesson for a lot of people is that we're not anti-medicine. We're going to lean on that when we need to, but I have to teach my patients also how to advocate for themselves in those situations. And I think that's where a lot of people don't have those tools. And I feel like we have that level of responsibility as well, that not only to show them what we can do, but should they need that, what do they do for themselves to make sure that they can maximize on that experience?
2 things times 2. When I first got into the chiropractic clinic, our whole objective was to help more people. Second thing, I was told that we should have 2 doctors in our lives, one to keep us healthy and one to save us from dying. And
Yes,
I think that if people actually went back in time and realized how powerful these doctors that trained me were for telling me those things 15 years ago. And then I met a guy named Joe Borio at my first Mile High 10, 11 years ago. And he told the audience to tell the story, and how important it was for chiropractors to tell the story. So if you take that all and combine it together, help more people, tell the story, and you should have 2 doctors in your life, one to save you from dying and one to keep you healthy.
Mm-hmm.
People would understand why their dentist is important. Like you said, Dr. Erica, why you went to go get your teeth cleaned, because you should also have a doctor to keep your teeth right.
Right.
And you should also have somebody that's your doctor to keep you healthy with exercise, like your personal trainer.
Yep.
So just because they don't have a doctor before their name or after their name always doesn't mean that they can't play that position in your life. That's a great thing about what chiropractic does, is you guys are the port of entry. You guys are the first place where people should land when it comes to a health concern.
That's so true.
Because it's least invasive first.
Right.
And it's not a fatty tumor on their spine now. It's an x-ray determining that they have subluxation, and you start adjusting them and their body starts healing the way it's supposed to from inside out. That doesn't need a pill, a potion, or a lotion. It doesn't need anything extra in it. It simply needs no interference. So when you start actually talking real deal philosophy to people, that changes the paradigm of why people would even try to take a pill.
Mm-hmm.
Like, screw that. Those people are trying to kill you.
Well, and how many people just take, this firefighter yesterday, he goes, yeah, he said, I decided to stop taking Advil. And I said, well, how long have you been taking? He goes, I've been taking a couple every day for the past 20 years, but I decided to stop and he goes, and boy, do I have a lot of pain now. And he hadn't taken it in a few days. I'm like, how's that Advil deficiency working out for you? I think it's so easy for people to walk into, which is why I say it's the most dangerous thing that we can do. And I'm calling it unregulated medicine, because people can walk into a store and buy whatever off the shelf and take it however. And so, yes, it's been authorized by the FDA to be there, but to me, that's completely unregulated, because people will take it off label and however they want, and they'll take more. And of course, we know the dangerous side effects of these over-the-counter medications. And so, again, like you're saying, that's causing interference to their body's ability to heal, to function. So, getting you off of that stuff is critical for us.
Couple fun things before you jump in, Dr. Erica. If people had to wear their spine on their face, they'd take better care of it.
For sure.
That's good.
That's really good. So there's a couple questions back here. Grow Big. One, I did go to Life, but I graduated from Sherman. And then it says, James, what college did you guys go to? He's not a chiropractor, but just a super, super intense chiropractic advocate. So just wanted to answer that. And then back here, it says, what's the best way to get relaxed before an actual adjustment? And then the answer, 5 shots of bourbon, came through. So I just wanted to get back to this because sometimes it is like people will be on our adjusting tables and they feel like if they're not totally relaxed, that they're not going to get a good adjustment, or that they did the adjustment, like they did the patient part of their job wrong or something. Just know that it's a natural, when you know what's coming, it's a natural thing to have that in your mind. Like, that's human nature, and that's factored into how the adjustment is delivered. Like, you're not the only one. Don't feel bad if you're not able to relax. It's difficult to be so in charge outside in our world and then come in and hand your entire body over to a chiropractor. But the more you can do it, and the more that you can just put it in your mind that you're doing a great job on the table and not to worry about that, the better off everybody is in the long run. So anyway, there's questions coming up that I didn't want to just kind of brush over.
No,
so,
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yep.
And from the chat section, I think people should have to put their real damn names over there. Okay. People shouldn't be able to like be an Instagram handle. They should, or whatever handle it is, a YouTube handle. They should be like real people. Okay. So like, I just
Grow Big is Joe. Idaho Garden Girl is Stephanie.
I know, but it's just, it's super weird.
I know.
Who are you people?
Right.
They're fans. They're fans.
They are fans, and they're great fans. We love our fans. Yeah. Yeah, well, and as weird as it seems, we have a pretty active chat and a pretty active.
Oh, I think it's great because they get access to someone like 2 doctors and an advocate that they can like have an open panel discussion with.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We'll actually acknowledge them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and to go to the questions here, so Stephanie from Idaho Garden Girl, she says the educational system is broken, and somewhere back here, I think. Paula was asking, what is pharma trying to do to chiropractic? Because you had mentioned that, I think you said the medical system or pharma is coming into the chiropractic colleges. What are they doing? Because I think I'm slightly out of touch on that as well.
I'll touch on a couple things because I do follow a lot of the trends. First things is I wanted to make this point that people know more about creating a reel or an Instagram post or a YouTube video than they do know what's going on in their own bodies. So first things first, find out what the hell your blood is telling you. Like, go get a blood test, find out what your actual, like, check your oil. Like, go check, see what's going on. Get some x-rays of your spine before anybody goes any further with life. Like, make that a New Year's resolution. Go and find out what your blood panels tell you from a real functional medicine doctor, not your big box medicine shop. And then get some x-rays of your spine to see what's going on, because Joseph Pilates, the guy who started Pilates, said you're only as healthy as your spine. Mm-hmm. So coming from a non-chiropractor, Thomas Edison, Joseph Pilates, these things cross over and they're stealing chiropractic philosophy. They're not stealing it, they're just repurposing it. But to answer your question, based on what's going on with like medical schools and what's going on with chiropractic schools becoming more medically integrated, baseline is there's no money in healthy people. And if we have a misinformed, miseducated graduation culture, then they're not going to get people better. So what they've done is they've retired out and tenured out great professors out of these chiropractic colleges. They've retired them early. They've taken philosophy out of the schools. They don't teach much business. And they're taking the vernacular and removing things like innate intelligence and universal intelligence and subluxation. And they're not teaching philosophy like the big idea or the green books or the 33 principles. And they're removing the foundation of what this profession was built upon. And they're only training people to go out there and pass state board exams to practice a system that doesn't even have alliance with chiropractic, which is the healthcare arena. I don't think chiropractic should actually have to go take boards. I think they should only have to pass their education, and they should probably get about 100 to 200 adjustments before they can call themselves a chiropractor and go out there and practice chiropractic. So I look at the profession from a whole different scope.
Most of the board questions are all medical based anyway. I mean, if you think, like, how many times will I hear like a term for some obscure disease and I'm like, oh, that was a board question. Like, I still remember it 25 years later. Like, but you know, I don't even remember if there were board questions that talked about subluxation at C7. I don't even know, you know. I just remember that it was all basically disease driven.
Well, so much of it's disease driven, because if there is something in our office that needs to be addressed somewhere else, like, we need to be that place where we are the first line of defense. And then it's like, okay, and there's more going on here than, you know, what's subluxation related. So yeah, I mean, that's the super high qualified. I wouldn't want to be any less than, you know, for boards and all the things. So personally,
well, now they're scaring the next generation of chiropractic students that graduate to refer out.
Yeah.
Not to take,
Well,
not to take
that's been
complicated
going on.
cases.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing that when I was in
Yeah.
school. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We had my neuropathophysiology instructor. Every single patient that we talked about, he's like, not your patient, refer it out. Everything was refer it out. We used to make fun of him for that, but yeah. So if it was that bad 25 years ago, I can't imagine.
Oh my gosh, yeah, because they're not teaching. They're not getting the students ready to be out adjusting, hands-on, doing and running businesses. So.
Well, and that was one of the reasons that I ended up, you know, and I may get a little bit of backlash saying this about our industry, but when I was a first quarter student, you're given a seventh quarter new to clinic student who gets to pound on you to practice, to learn how to adjust. And this gal that was my clinic doctor, she never did anything with her hands. Everything was using blocks, using the activator. There was never any manual adjusting. So this is like my whole pushback with chiropractic and what's being taught in the schools is that you should never be able to pick up an instrument until you have learned the craft with your hands. And that is my incredibly strong belief, because then when she did put her hands on me, she hurt me. It was bad. And I had to leave school. And I came in the next day and she's like, meet me in the hallway. And she pulls out an activator standing in the middle of the hallway. And she's ka-chinking up and down my spine. And I'm like, get off of me. Like, you're a lunatic. I don't know where this woman is today. I don't even remember her name. I don't know what her practice is like, but that led me on the path that I said, I will never pick up an instrument in my practice ever, until I broke my hand 12 years ago, at which point then I ordered an activator. However, I was 13 years into practice and I was really good at my craft with my hands. So, and Erica and some other of my close friends, I'm always like, that stupid activator. I hate that thing, but it works. Dang it, it works. Like, it makes me mad that it works. But it does. And so just to fast forward, is that there's so many different techniques. And of course, you know, yes, that was my thought about activator many years ago. I still have a strong belief that chiropractors need to know their craft with their hands. This is where the gift and the art lies, is with our hands. And then the tools are there as an assistance to what we do.
I hate interrupting, but I got to go.
Okay.
It's always a thing. I got to take care of my babies.
Oh, it's 1:48. Okay. I'll continue to chat with Jim then. So,
okay.
All right. Good hanging with you. Okay. See you on the next one. So yeah, and I know you've worked with a lot of offices, so you probably have seen, like, it doesn't, in today's world, it doesn't really matter the technique. We just know that we just need to utilize whatever technique that is, remove the interference, and allow people's bodies to flourish like they're supposed to.
I think Clarence Gonstead said it the best. Find it, fix it, leave it alone.
Well, he said, so I think that was BJ Palmer. And then Clarence Gonstead said, find it, accept where you find it, fix it, and leave it alone. because he then discovered that oftentimes as chiropractors, when we find it, we're like, no, that doesn't make sense. And so then we then might go into another direction. So he said, accept that. You have to accept that what the body's telling you is true. And so it's find it, accept where you find it, fix it, and then leave it alone. So I had that t-shirt. So because I was the president of the Gonstead Club in Chiropractic College.
Well, I think it's really important for people to know this stuff, because a lot of what you and I can talk about, it's founded upon our own belief systems of what we've come away with over the years of being in the profession. But a lot of the greats that came before you and I, that's why we have a standard operating system of chiropractic science, philosophy, and art. And that's why we should continuously perpetuate that into the future. And really, chiropractors are the only people that can do what they do. And that's why I support this beautiful profession. And chiropractic is sexy because it allows people to get their lives back. And it gets people, I saw a question about posture. I think that if you want better posture, don't sit on technology all day. Mm-hmm. I think if you want better posture, make it a point to have better posture. Like, do things to support your posture instead of to degrade it.
The awareness.
Yeah.
Have the awareness. Yeah.
Do something different if you want different results.
Yeah. And I think going back to the whole find it, accept where you find it, fix it, and leave it alone, that's the lesson for many people when they come in and I'm like, here's the problem, like, but my pain is over here. And so the patient has to accept where their problem is as well. And that's part, we're so trained to follow, think that our problem is where the pain is. And so again, just coming back to, it's just all about the education and the messaging that we can get out to people.
If you allow people to use you like an expensive Advil, they will.
Yeah. Yeah. And I find too that, they might do that once, twice, maybe 3 times in my office. By the 3rd time, I'm like, listen, if you don't come regularly, I'm not going to keep taking your money and listening to you complain about how badly you feel when you're not actually doing the things consistently that you need to be doing to move your health forward. So they either know at that point they're going to get dismissed from care, or they need to commit because they know they feel that much better when they commit to it. So that's a lot of my wellness patients have, very few start from the beginning. And then, even though I'm trying to educate them along the way, and then more adopt after they come back that 2nd time, then more are like, yeah, I'm staying. And then even more after that 3rd time, they're like, I'm never doing that again. I will be here. You tell me every week, every other week, however long I need to be here. And so that's, getting people to that level, man, it's a tough one sometimes,
Yeah. If people knew what we do, then they'd stick with it for the rest of their life. One of my favorite chiropractors of all time, his name's Patrick Smith. He runs a membership practice in Denver, Colorado. Now he's in Evergreen, and he would give his new patient orientation, and he would always say, hi, my name is Dr. Patrick Smith. You're my patient, and you're going to be with me until one of us blows up.
I love that.
I think it's a way to tell somebody that you're always going to be with me, and I'm never going to leave you. Mm-hmm. And you're a part of my practice now, and I'm going to accept you because you're here learning from me. And the definition of doctor is teacher. So I think that if doctors are out there and they're watching this or listening to this and they're not doing new patient orientations, they should get back to that, because that's what creates super advocates, and that's what creates lifetime care. And that's what creates that mindset shift from, I'm just going to come to you when I'm in pain. And that's what gets you those internal referrals where somebody would be like, damn, I got to bring my kids now, or I get to bring my kids in now, or my spouse needs this, and why didn't I tell people about this? Or, this is like valuable. Like, when people get access to you as the doctor, they're getting access to your most valuable resources, your time, plus your education. And there's no value you can put on that, because now you get a chance to change that person's life.
We talked about that on last week's show, about affording chiropractic care and the value. And that when people say to us, you gave me my life back, or if I hadn't come to you, I probably would be paralyzed, or I always tell the story of 20 years ago. I had a guy tell me that his wife was about to divorce him, and I thought he was joking, and he was serious, because he was in so much pain. He was being an SOB to his wife and his family, and she literally was ready to leave him because of it. And again, I realized that, again, those are the stories that help me understand the power of it. And so, we talked about that in the show last week, and that if we had to put a value on those things, and then, but then it's too much to pay $80 to come in to get adjusted, or $3,000 for a course of care. But yet it's the value on your life. It's the value on your relationships. It's the value on your longevity, on your kids, on your family, on your career. And so that you cannot put a price tag on it. We have to, but we are undercharging if that's the case. If you tell me that you think that in 5 or 10 years you'd end up in a wheelchair, and now you're not, and you're out dancing and walking with your kids or your grandkids, there's no value. I can't put a number on that, nor can you. So all of this, I can't afford chiropractic care, comes down to awareness of the things that you are doing in your life, that, how can we take that? How can we improve it? And, and even just when we look at, a lot of people don't realize they have bad posture, Joe. Posture, looking at, when you're crumpled over, that is massive, massive stress and strain on your spine. So, our friend Kenny said earlier, he has no stress outside of his job, but there's, you probably sit like this at some points in time, sitting alone. If you've ever taken a car ride, just sitting, people don't even think, they think that stress is about, road rage, or, I don't know, just any, they think of it as like, it's something like angry and it's very in front of you, but it's really not. It's, maybe you have a bad mattress and you're sleeping on that and you're not getting proper sleep, or maybe you're not getting enough water. That's stress on your internal organs. There's so many different ways that we can define stress, and we have to start to recognize that. And to your point, Jim, sit up straight. If you know you have bad posture, sit up straight. If it hurts you to sit up straight, then you probably need to go to the chiropractor and get your spine corrected, improve its mobility, get your nervous system functioning so that you can sit up straight.
3 types of stressors: physical, chemical, and emotional. Thoughts, traumas, toxins. That's what causes subluxation. Mm-hmm. If you have pain, that's already like the white flag of your body waving, I give up. So go find out where that pain response is coming from. Find yourself a principal chiropractor that will detect, correct, and adjust the vertebral subluxation. Call them on the phone. Say, hey, are you a subluxation-based chiropractor? I want to come see you. If they say we don't do that here, then find a new one.
Mm-hmm. Do you know John Bergman, Dr. John Bergman?
I do.
Yeah. So he has a whole program that he's created, like basically a directory. And the only way you can be in his directory is if you're a chiropractor who works towards correction. Like, you can't be a pain-based doc, only see people 3 or 6 times. You need to be somebody who ultimately looks at the patient for long-term correction, because that is how we're going to have a better world, right? We can't have people walking around in pain, being SOBs to their spouses and their kids, and think that that's going to serve the community, right? Yeah. Yes, Stephanie, you're probably not among the living. I know. So, yeah. So, and so many people too, when they're under chiropractic care, they say they're more relaxed. We hit the rest, digest, and repair part of the nervous system. We calm down that, we hit the parasympathetic part of the nervous system that calms down the stress and the fight or flight. And we're in fight or flight all day long, right? We're in chronic stress all day long. So, yeah, thanks for being here, G Mama. Appreciate that. And yeah, we have Gil. Zombies don't have stress. I get stressed if I see a zombie. So, Jim, tell us about, what are you working on now, and where can people find what you're doing?
Go to chirohustle.com. If you have questions, listen to our show. That's the most important thing. Go find Dr. Paula Ruffin's episode of Chiro Hustle. You can listen to us having a podcast interview over there. What I'm working on now is building a strong team and creating really great content and getting really awesome guests and supporting the profession with the power of the chiropractic story. There's so much that goes into what we do, but I think if we just keep it at go to chirohustle.com, listen to the show, I think that'd probably be the best call to action for people.
Yeah, it's this whole message of chiropractic. When I part of the idea to get Dr. Erica and I together, I don't do patient education classes. I was doing them for a while, and I haven't done one probably in a year. But we thought this way we could invite our current patient base and then expand out to the world. So, and then of course we thought, well, let's bring both of our minds together, have these kind of conversations, and be able to just expand the message of chiropractic. Because honestly, I don't think there's as many people doing what we're doing here, Jim, right? I mean, when you look on YouTube, there's a handful of pretty big chiropractic channels, and they have a lot of followers. And what that tells me is that there's room for more of us, and that people really want to hear the message of chiropractic. Like, they love it, and they're not just listening in for the cracks, right?
Well, keep the adjustment sacred. And I'll close out on that. Is I think that those channels are big is because they're sexualizing chiropractic, and they're not making it sexy.
Yeah.
And they're giving away the best part of the profession, which is the adjustment, and they should always keep that sacred.
Mm-hmm.
I had these conversations way before social media was a thing, and I was like, no, we should never show an adjustment. Like, that's something that is sacred.
Yeah.
And I think that when people do that, yeah, it's gonna get you sensationalism. But what about in 10 years from now? Where are you going to be in 10 years? And what did you do to build the profession better? No, you just sensationalized it and you left it to ruin just so you could get some attention. And I think that if we looked at it more as a substance creation rather than an attention creation, we'd have a lot better longevity within video and marketing and all these things that people think that they have to be TikTokers or they have to be YouTubers or whatever they think they have to be. Think about where the profession will be in 10 years with that activity.
Well, and more of the telling the stories, the testimonials. I have done a handful of videos where I do show the adjustment, and it's all wrapped up in the story of the testimonial with the patient. So it's not just, I absolutely disagree. Like, I don't want to just do I don't want you tuning in just to hear the crack. That's not special. But if you know the story, if it shows impact and it speaks to somebody, that's where I drew that line. I'm like, man, these people, or I do a lot of TMJ work. So I'll show pre and post work that I've done with the jaw. And it's nothing short of miraculous when you can see that kind of movement pre and post. So those are the things I like doing from an adjustment perspective, keeping that whole sensationalism piece out of it. But you have to put the story into it, or else it is just sensationalism, right? So
I'm not a chiropractor. I just have my own views.
Yeah.
I'm not going to correct what people put on social media with one viewpoint. I just think that people should think about where that is going to be in the history of the profession, where will we go back and look at it and say, wow, that was helpful?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we will, maybe we
Yeah.
won't. But I think that we should always have like a scope of reality as to the things that you do today will have an impact down the line.
Well, and putting the content out that shows the impact we can have on other people's lives. Like that's the ultimate goal, right? So and all in all, if we can expand the message and working together with somebody like you, just again, just getting these messages out, telling our stories, talking about our cases, how it's impacting lives, bringing more people on board, getting more people to really tap into, wow, I do want something better. And just again, going back to your point about if you slouch, you should just sit up straighter. If you know you're doing things as a detriment to your health, then change that. And you're the only one that can do it. We can't make you do it. We're just here to lead you to water. And then once you're there, we're gonna teach you how to drink. So, yeah. And we came up with the name Chiropractic is Sexy. I think when I first suggested that to Dr. Erica, she's like, that's edgy. And I go, yeah, it is. And I said, chiropractic is sexy because when you help people sit up straighter, smile more, be more functional in the world, reach out to people, have more compassion, all that, and then give people their lives back so they can go out and change the world. That's freaking sexy to me, right? So yeah, it might be edgy, it might draw people in, but yeah, sorry, hey. It's this is an every time I turn the camera on thing. So yeah. Anyway, so it looks like Joe's checking out your website. He says, love the website, James. And I'm going to be over on Joe's channel on Grow Big TV next Tuesday, hosting for him with Corky, talking about health, wellness, and chiropractic on his channel. So been really blessed to have people in my YouTube family to be doing a lot of co-collaboration with. So that's really, really cool. And thank you, Kenny. Jim, is there anything else you want people to know about you? I have dropped your bio as well as your links, how to reach you, and your website in the show notes, so you guys can find that below. But any last parting words that you'd like to honor us with?
I think that the more people that are interested in freedom of speech, medical freedom, family health freedom, those topics particularly, they should listen to Chiro Hustle. And
yeah.
I think that a lot of times people don't understand that there is a wealth of knowledge outside of them. They just have to go and find the right resources to get that information from. So once again, thank you for doing the show you guys are doing.
Appreciate that.
I think that if people want to understand about medical freedom and family health freedom, they should go find a chiropractor.
Yeah.
And if they're struggling with their thoughts, traumas, or toxins, go find a chiropractor. And if your sucks, go find a chiropractor. I always tell people one thing. I'll close out with this. If you put your head out as far as you can, you take a deep breath, and you take that breath in, it's really challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Put your head back over your shoulders, you take the same deep breath. Which one is easier?
Yeah, sitting up straighter.
Would you say posture matters? Yep.
Yeah.
So
it sure does.
Thanks for having me on. And
and we just have one last question. This is a last question debate for every guest on the show. Mayonnaise or Miracle Whip?
Neither.
Neither. You're the second neither. Okay. Well, we appreciate you engaging us in our silly end of the show question. But thanks for being here, Jim. I appreciate you so much. And I hope to see you very, very soon in real life. So thank you all for joining us. Appreciate you. I'll see you on Sunday night for Sunday Night Live with Dr. Joel Gould, a holistic dentist. And have a great weekend or a great week. Talk to you guys soon. Love you. Bye.
Thanks, Paula.